Hey y'all, welcome back to Exile Wargaming today, and as always, we're going to be talking about winning with Harlequins in competitive 10th edition Warhammer 40k with a battle report and some strategy against Chaos Space Marines after the last data slate. Now we're going to change up our list a little bit. I know a lot of people have been wondering what would happen if we added the Avatar into Harlequin, so we're going to do just that. The list is as follows. We made a couple changes. As of right now, we have the Avatar of Kagarak, or the Laughing God himself, using the Avatar of Kane's rules at 335 points. We have a Farseer, no Phoenix Gem or Fate's Messenger, 3 Troop Masters, 4 units of troops with fusion pistols, 1 Star Weaver, 3 Falcons with bright lances, pulse lasers, and shuriken cannons, 2 D cannons, 2 units of 2-man Skyweavers with Haywire and Star Bolus, and 2 units of Swooping Hawks. Now we've dropped down from our traditional 19 units to 16 total units at a total of 2,000 points on the nose. As for our Chaos Space Marines opponent, they brought a pretty spicy list skewed very heavily into Slaanesh. We have a Demon Prince with wings and intoxicating elixir, 2 Chaos Lords with demon hammers, Master of Executions, Nurgle Cultist Mob, 2 Nurgle Predator Annihilators with multiple last cannons, 3 Chaos Rhinos marked Slaanesh, 6 units of Slaanesh Legionnaires with last cannons in each unit, a unit of Chaos Bikers with Melta, a unit of Slaanesh Raptors, and 2 units of Obliterators. Now they actually outnumber us with 17 total units at 2,000 points on the nose. Now we're going to be using Terrain Layout 1, Mission G, which is Sights of Power, Chilling Rain, and Hammer and Anvil. That means we are on opposite sides of the board. I believe the deployment zone is 18 inches out, 24 inches in the center. As far as Sights of Power, you gain 3 primary points for each objective you hold, and an additional 3 for each objective you hold with a character on it in No Man's Land. Now, moving on to deployment, we are actually at a substantial material disadvantage against Chaos Space Marines, but we did outdrop them because they're filling their rhinos with 2 squads of Legionnaires in each of them. Now, you can see on our side of the board, we positioned our Avatar dead center to be able to move towards the middle or any flank if we really needed to, just to support wherever our opponent decides to go. We have our D cannon staged in the middle. These were our last 2 pieces that we dropped. I want to see exactly where our opponent's going to move on the first couple turns, and then I can adjust my Falcons accordingly to support. Beyond this, you're going to see all that symmetry again. Falcons, Skyweavers on each flank with another Falcon in the center so that we can again position wherever we need to depending on where our opponent moves. Now our opponent took the same strategy, moving most of his units out of line of sight on the first turn, a couple inches back so that we couldn't move the D cannons up and get that clear shot. First and foremost, right off the rip, we have the Predator Annihilators on the flanks here, covering this entire line. And then we have a squad of Raptors for our opponent in the back, another Rhino in the back, Cultist Mob stretched out across the board, just screening that backfield, and the Demon Prince right here as well, again, outside of D cannon range first turn. Now, we have our Farseer staged up inside of this building. For the Harlequin side, so we can move up with the Avatar, give out those rerolls, or be able to sub in our garbage Fate dice, which is what we rolled this game, to 6s whenever we need them. The goal here is to essentially run away from our opponent, being at a material disadvantage, being that their troops have substantially more wounds than each of ours, and they have more of them. We cannot trade very efficiently unless we whittle down some of these units with our shooting to begin with. Now, Chaos Space Marines did win the turn 1 dice roll and are going first. They drew Cleanse and Bring It Down as their secondaries, ended up discarding Bring It Down for a command point, and disembarked a unit of Legionnaires out of the Rhino staged here, used the stratagem that allows them to fall back, advance, shoot, and charge. to cleanse both objectives up front. Move the rhinos towards the top objective here. Raptors stayed stationary. The Predator Annihilator stayed stationary. Cultists didn't move. Chaos Bikes didn't move. And the other Predators stayed stationary as well. The Demon Prince moved up. Now he does have a 14-inch move and can advance and charge the next turn with a stratagem, so he can be in our backline very, very quickly. The other Rhino just moved up and staged. If it does get taken down, that's fine for them. Both of these units can get out, claim some OC on the objective, or get behind cover. They fired a few shots. These Rhinos are open top, and there's 2 last cannons in each one of them. We fired a last cannon into this unit of Skyweavers from this Rhino, ended up whiffing on the damage roll. Or I'm sorry, we made a save on the last cannon itself, and with a few other of the miscellaneous fire, we did 2 wounds to a Skyweaver. Otherwise, this Rhino itself fired into this Falcon, everything bounced, and we are in good shape. As for the Harlequins turn 1 move, we pretty much just shifted around the Falcons to get line of sight on this Rhino. We moved the Avatar up. He was fortuned from the Farseer. The Farseer advanced from behind this wall all the way up here, so we can make sure we are in distance of everything we need it to be. The Skyweavers moved up to gain an angle on this Rhino here, and this Falcon in the back just stayed the same. As soon as he pokes out, he's going to get crushed by this Annihilator or any of the last cannons coming out of these Rhinos. Beyond this, we just moved our Skyweavers up down here to make sure that we weren't in clear line of sight of the Annihilator, and we moved the Starweaver up here to give them a target and a reason to come out and hold this point. In our shooting phase, we did some pretty good damage. Ended up fire and fading the Skyweavers after they shot just to get out of line of sight, hold that objective. The Skyweavers themselves fired into this Rhino, whiffed quite a few of the shots, but this D cannon ended up doing the rest of the work, and we did pop this Rhino here. Troops got out up front. The Star Bolus went into this unit, as well as the other D cannon. We ended up dropping 4 out of the 5 of them. The Avatar used a Fate dice to completely annihilate this Rhino. He ended up getting 4 hits, blew it out of the water. One of the units with the Chaos Lord got out in the back of the ruin. The other unit moved up, I think, to essentially block us from being able to push further into their backline. The Falcons ended up firing a little bit of fire into here, but we didn't want to kill each one of these because we wanted to give the Avatar a good charge. One of the things I dislike about the Avatar in this list is that it forces us to play a game that we really don't want to be a part of. Part of the success of Harlequins and the reason we run D cannons is because we get to dictate the terms of engagement. I get to shoot what I want to shoot. You don't get to shoot me back. But when I play the Avatar, it feels like every time I'm just giving my opponent an option to dump all of his fire into. And if I didn't give them that option, most of their units would sit and do nothing, just wasting turns of activation. In our charge phase, we end up rolling an 11 for the Avatar, which I thought was a really good roll, incredible opportunity. We get behind the Legionnaires, we wipe them, we consolidate into this unit of Legionnaires afterwards, and then we could just start steamrolling forward. Didn't really go the way I expected, and you'll see in this following turn exactly what I mean. I should have just moved him out beyond cover, but after we consolidate, the Chaos Lord and the Legionnaires end up doing a couple wounds to the Avatar, and then we move on to our opponent's next turn. So our opponents end up drawing Tempting Target and Assassination for their secondaries. I ended up choosing this point down here as the Tempting Target just to get them to try to commit a few things down here, start spreading out the forces. But we'll see how that assassination goes here very, very soon. Moved up the Chaos Bikers, got in Melta range of the Avatar. Obliterators came down here and here. The Obliterators actually ended up moving towards this area afterwards. The Annihilator pushed up as well. This Annihilator moved out to gain shots on the Avatar over here. The Rhino moved up to stage the point, did not get out the Legionaries. So this Rhino is full, and then the other squad with the Master of Executions is up here. The Demon Prince sprinted all the way across the board. I had a weird thought that I'd be able to block his move for a second. I phantasmed the Farseer out, not realizing I didn't have the Phoenix Gem. That was completely ridiculous, as the Demon Prince basically has a heavy bolter on him as well. So this Farseer here is not actually there for this turn. In our opponent's shooting phase, they did some pretty good damage, bringing the Avatar down to 4 wounds. The Melta-Guns from these bikes did a couple wounds. One of these Obliterators ended up doing 4 wounds in Melta range. Another Obliterator did 2. A lot of the last cannon shots ended up bouncing. But at the end of the day, the Avatar at the end of shooting lived on 4 wounds. That fortune is a pretty big deal. Now, this squad of Obliterators down here ended up splitting fire. So this one fired into the Avatar. This one fired into the Star Weaver. It did end up bringing the Star Weaver down, giving our opponent tempting target. Sky Weavers took some middling fire up top here. We lost one of them, and this last cannon ended up bringing one of our D cannons down to 1 wound afterwards. In the charge phase, the Skyweavers got finished off. The Avatar, being stuck in combat, ended up hitting with all 6 hits, killed 5 Legionnaires. The Chaos Lord made the 4+ save, swung back, and rolled 2 6s at 3 devastating wounds apiece. Even when we cut that damage in half, it took out the last 4 wounds on the Avatar, and we lost him. So we took out a Rhino and 160 points worth of Legionnaires with our Avatar. I do not believe that was a trade worth making. It also gave our Annihilators and Obliterators really good targets on this turn. Again, I feel like if we didn't run the Avatar, I'd have an extra 335 points worth of stuff shooting into their army back here with no good targets for anything else. Now, Harlequin's turn 2, we got to start making something happen. We're behind in secondaries. We're behind in primary. Now is really our time to start making our push, but we don't want to just drop off all of our troops and try to alpha strike our opponent at this point. We will lose that trade. So these Falcons up top just position to shoot. The troop are staying inside. We're going to use our swooping hawks because we don't have to worry about obliterators or any other deep strikers coming down in our backfield anymore to contest this objective and block our opponent from being able to move into our Falcons afterwards. The Demon Prince over here ended up doing I believe 11 wounds to our Falcon, or 9 wounds down here, left him at 1. So the Falcon that was down here disembarked troops and used feigned retreat to get out. Our D cannon here stayed stationary. This D cannon stayed stationary. The Farseer from last turn that was attacked by a Legionnaire ended up falling back, not using feigned retreat, just giving out those rerolls. The troop unit that was staged behind this wall ended up moving up, so we have an option to throw grenades at the Chaos Lord, or we can charge either the Lord or the bikes afterwards. Our swooping hawks down here moved up as well, so we can cleanse this objective and this top objective here, getting us that 5 points on secondaries we really need. And then the Sky Weavers moved from this position up front to try to take down the Predator Annihilator. Now, they do a very good job. They end up doing 9 devastating wounds and then finish it off with the extra 2 damage from the Star Bolus, so we do end up killing the Predator Annihilator over here. Now, this D cannon fired into the Rhino up top. We ended up blowing this up. The other D cannon fired into the Obliterators down here. We brought one down to 2 wounds. This unit of troops right here did a phenomenal job with their fusion pistols, ended up doing 10 wounds to the Demon Prince, but he had the intoxicating elixir and ended up rolling 5 up, feel no pains. So he's at 5 wounds remaining. Not quite what we were expecting. Hope we can finish him off in the charge. We got a little bit of payback for our opponent's hot rolling by rolling 6 mortal wounds from a grenade we threw into the Lord, so we end up dropping him afterwards. Now, these Falcons here did their best job Just trying to clear this unit of Legionnaires and the Master of Executions up top. This Falcon ended up firing its Shuriken Cannon into this unit as well, and then its Bright Lance and Pulse Laser into the Predator Annihilator. We end up doing 7 wounds. So we've weakened an Annihilator, we've weakened a unit of Obliterators, we have annihilated an Annihilator, and we've killed a Chaos Lord in this unit of Legionnaires in our shooting phase. Our charge phase was pretty simple. We moved this unit of troops into the Chaos Bikes. We end up bringing down 2. I don't believe we lose a single Harlequin on the swing back. And then this unit of Harlequin troops with all of their rerolls ends up dropping the Demon Prince pretty handily. Now, our opponent ends up drawing capture enemy outposts and deploy teleport homers for their secondary objectives on turn 3. Both of those are not really doable at this point in time, but they do end up shifting up their forces to get line of sight and range on a good number of our units. This Predator Annihilator ends up shooting into the Falcon, takes off a few wounds there. I believe this last cannon brings down the single wound Falcon. These Obliterators end up catching range here. I think one shoots into a Falcon, the other shoots into a D cannon. We end up dropping the D cannon as well. These Obliterators at the bottom moved up and wiped the Swooping Hawks. Other than that, we're in pretty good shape. This is why we hold our Harlequin troops back. Now we can get them next turn into a position where they can really trade efficiently and be the last on this objective. Our opponent's charge phase is pretty simple. We end up charging the Obliterators into the Skyweavers. They kill 1. We leave another one on 1 wound. The Harlequin troop stuck in combat with the bike end up killing the bike. Everything else is pretty smooth. Harlequin's turn 3, we end up drawing Overwhelming Force and Investigate Signals, but we will not be investigating any signals today. We do not have the units at this point in time to do that. The Farseer moves back onto the objective. This D cannon stays stationary. This unit of Harlequin troops that was staged here is going to end up moving up with the Troop Master touching the objective so we can get that Sights of Power primary. The Skyweaver end up using Feigned Retreat, one of our best stratagems to catch line of sight to this Annihilator over here. These Falcons both disembark their troops. Now is their time to shine and just start staging at more advantageous positions on the board. The troop get out. These fusion pistols, 6 of them, do very, very good work into these Legionnaires. We drop the entire unit. This Falcon fires into the Annihilator. As well as this Skyweaver, we're able to bring that down. The Falcon over here fires its shots into the Obliterators, ends up dropping both of them, and we are moving on to the charge phase. Now, this Harlequin unit down here did end up throwing grenades and shooting its fusion pistols into the Obliterators. They killed 1 and made the charge. Our other Harlequin troop are making their way into this Chaos unit of Legionnaires with the Chaos Lord. Now, we were able to bring down the entire unit of Legionnaires. We left the Chaos Lord alive, but they fought on death and wiped one of our units entirely on the swing back. So it'll be a Chaos Lord versus a Falcon and a squad of troops afterwards. Now, this Harlequin troop unit down here ended up firing fusion pistols, throwing grenades into the Obliterators. We killed 1 Obliterator, made the charge. We were not able to kill the Obliterator on the charge, but he swung back, and those 4-up invulnerables did some good work. We saved all of our Harlequins. We will hold this objective next turn. Everything else kind of stayed the same. For the Chaos Space Marines, with the exception of moving up the Raptors. They do get advance in charge, but we phantasmed back our troops to make it a 10-inch charge if they were to make it. The Chaos Lord ended up firing its plasma pistol into this Falcon afterwards. Now, the Chaos Lord himself does some very, very good work. Ends up making the charge on the Falcon up top, leaves it alive on a few wounds. This squad of Raptors ends up wiping this unit of Harlequin troops, all except the Troop Master. When he got the swing back, he did end up killing 2 and a half of them, which was pretty nice afterwards. The Obliterator fell to the Harlequins down low, and then we move on to Harlequins turn 4. Harlequin's turn 4, we end up drawing Area Denial and Storm Hostile Objective, which is perfect for us. We score almost max on primary. The Falcon up top uses Feigned Retreat, ends up killing the Chaos Lord. The Troop Master falls back. The D Cannon finishes off the squad of Raptors. And then we just push forward to kill the Cultists. We roll pretty good. We end up dropping 10 out of 10 of them, and that is pretty much the end of the game. So while the scoreboard may not reflect it, this game could have swung any way. There were some pretty swingy rolls, there were some pretty lucky rolls, some unfortunate rolls. And really, I believe that the only reason we won this game is because I played this army far more than my opponent has played his. We were even proxying units. This is a first run for Chaos Space Marines. I do not believe this is a really great matchup for us, especially with something like the Avatar. Now, some of our strengths is we can trade if we time it appropriately. We still have really good anti-vehicle. D cannons and Skyweavers are absolutely incredible at popping rhinos and smaller tanks. We have really effective shooting into a marine body, a lot of strength 6, -1, 2 damage shots, and we have mobility to get wherever we really want on the board. But as far as our weaknesses, I think they far outweigh our strengths. The Chaos lists themselves have more bodies at a higher toughness with more wounds. They have some effective indirect on their go turn with the Obliterators. They trade incredibly efficiently, and they have that transport protection to make sure that they're getting all their OC onto the points. I really truly believe this game could have gone either way. We both made a couple mistakes. Me pushing the Avatar out quickly did that, but then he also did the same in return with the Demon Prince. This is not an easy matchup, and I would much, much, much rather prefer running 3D cannons, an extra Skyweaver, extra troops, and having one more utility unit than running the Farseer himself. Something like the Solitaire would have been absolutely incredible in a game like this. So if we're going against a more MSU style meta, I would advise against the Avatar, but maybe it's just my play style. I do like to play that ambush approach, and the Avatar just makes me feel like I have to push everything as close as I can to my opponent and just start steamrolling every time I put him on the board. So I think a big portion of this could be my issue and my play style. There may be some value in replacing the D cannons with the Avatar and just allowing him to play that protective role for your backfield, which could be absolutely incredible. Maybe we'll roll with a lineup like that afterwards. But thank you again. I hope you enjoyed the game. I hope you're enjoying these videos as much as I am making them. Again, I haven't had this much fun in Warhammer in a very, very, very long time. I really appreciate every one of you who has liked or shared or subscribed or kind of put the channel and the name out there. I know a lot of us have been shelving Harlequins for what feels like an eternity, but I do feel it is the time to bring them back. Played right, they can do almost anything. So thanks again. Take care. Look forward to hearing from you in the comments.